listen, I don't want to pop your bubble, burst your bubble, but they put their the numbers out, the ratings out. You were the lowest rated episode this season. How did that happen? I knew I'd pop you.
And you were so serious. I don't want to burst. Once you said that, I was like, she's gonna hit me with something good.
I don't know what the numbers
are. Bubble.
Look, I don't know what the numbers are. I enjoyed the hell out of that episode last night. The only critique I have is that I wasn't mentioned and I wasn't interviewed. But next time.
They honestly, they got enough on the. They left enough clips on the floor of the studio there that they could have another 2 full episodes of me.
Is there something they didn't touch base with? Is there a story?
All right, so for example, are we on right now?
We're on.
Okay. The biggest example was one of my best friends that I started going to the Philadelphia Spectrum with. They interviewed him for a couple hours. They never even showed him. He was the one that was with me when I got thrown out of this Philadelphia Spectrum for carrying a piece of the steel cage into the ring, and Gorilla Monsoon threw me out when I smacked Snoop on the back. Yeah, so they didn't touch on so many things. And Todd, they interviewed Todd the same way, Francie the same way, and you see a couple little snippets, but they have so much other stuff. They only really covered one angle of mine in the episode.
Right. Well, let's get. Believe it or not, I wrote down notes.
Yay!
I did, and I have them on my phone, and I'm going to go over each one of them because I was just telling Chad. I said, as much as I have hung out with you and we've traveled up and down these roads together and stuff, you would tell me stories, right? But you wouldn't tell me like the whole story. And when I watched the episode, I'm like, that's the story he was telling me in the car when we were going to Queens or we were going. You would say that I did this, I did this, I did this. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And then I watched that. And I'm like, that's the same story. And now it makes sense to me.
I know. My brain lives on 6-second intervals. A lot of times I'm like, all right, what was I talking about again?
Squirrel. Okay.
And me and her in the car is like.
No, we're the best. You're my favorite travel partner and vice versa. I know. But the first thing I need to ask you, because this you might have told me, and I either forgot or I was like, he's full of shit. Prostitution. It's like, so what? Elaborate on that. You touched.
No, it was just a Chippendales. They opened up a 2,500 people nightclub with a big spaceship with a robot that came out of the center and went on. And you got to understand, this is the early 80s right here. I just get out of jail. I've been out of jail for maybe like 2-3 months. And the next thing you know, I'm in this big club on a Thursday night, $10 all you could drink. And the producer, director of the Chippendales sees me, and next thing you know, I'm a Chippendale.
Did you bang her in that office?
No.
All right. That's a letdown.
No, but another part of the story that you didn't hear was, so she hands me a card of, all right, this is a guy that's going to be your trainer. All right, this guy's going to be a choreographer. We want you to learn how to dance a little bit. And then she goes, but Nick Denorio's here, and he's the guy that invented the Chippendales. I want you to meet him. So we go out of her office and we're walking down a small hallway. Nick happens to be coming out of his office. He looks right at me and looks at her and goes, he's starting tonight, isn't he? And she goes, yes, sir, he is.
Is Nick the guy who hung himself in jail?
No. Nick Denorio, it was a mob hit probably.
Oh, okay. Because I saw the Chippendale gimmick on TV, and the guy that they said created the Chippendales went to jail and hung himself in jail in his cell.
Nah, that's not how I remember it, but I'm not saying that ain't the way it was.
All right. So let's go back. Prostitution. Yeah. You made $100. So I'm going to sleep with you tonight. I'm going to pay you
1984.
Right. Which
so it was $100 for
I was 12,
me.
so I'm not going to sleep. That's only 12. No, I would pay you $100, but then you would have to take $45 to get a room
No, they would pay for the room. It wasn't like I was putting out a credit card. I'm like, lady, I'll meet you here. And that's it.
So the mistress paid for the lady of the evening, whatever. She paid for the room and then had to give you $100.
Yeah.
And you had
sex with them, whatever they wanted.
Oh my God. For how long?
Yeah, but you got to understand, I think they were paying us like $8 an hour. And you're working 5 hours a night for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then if you were lucky, you got to go up to Studio 54, which I did a couple times to work up there, and they would pay you more to work up there.
Right.
And so, but you had to make money the way you could.
So how many ladies would you be with?
I don't know. Probably like maybe 20 total in 6 months.
Wait a minute. 20 a night?
No, 20 total.
20 your whole career. Your whole career.
Yeah.
You didn't feel
Well, you got to understand, there's not a lot of ladies in 1984 that are going to be like, oh, yeah, here, dude. You're getting my car. We're rolling.
How big were the bushes back then? Were they huge?
Nobody was shaved. Nobody.
Was that a turnoff?
Huh?
Was that a turnoff?
No, I didn't care.
Oh my God. That's the thing.
That was every girl. You get just a girl that you would meet in a club or something, and you ended up having sex with her. She had a bush. Very rarely you would get the ones that were shaving back in them days.
Did you wear a condom?
Never once in my life.
Oh God, you should be
never
dead.
Once. I was so lucky. You have no idea.
I'm not even talking about the drugs, which we'll get into. Just all that dirty puss. You should be.
All right, you got to understand something, lady. This is I'm not in a nightclub in New York City. I'm in like the average. I would bet you the average person back then was probably making $150,000 in the neighborhood that this club was in. This was a higher class club. These women had husbands that were making money, most of them, and were spending their husband's money.
It said pulsations in.
Yeah.
Was that where you were?
Yeah.
Do you know I was penny pulsations at my first show? I was. We wrestled there.
What? Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. I didn't have anything to do with it, but yeah, we did.
I was penny pulsations.
All right. Well, I must have told everybody the story that night.
Thank God it didn't last because.
No, and you know who was?
Wait, that dude's almost as bad as your surfer gimmick, but we'll get into that too. Go ahead.
God, nothing. It was about John Taffer. Was the manager the first night that club opened. You know the guy that does all the bar rescues?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the first night the club opened, the spaceship came out over top of the dance floor. It fell on some lady and killed her.
Right.
Killed her instantly, squashed her. They swept her up in like 10 minutes, and the party kept going. The opening night of that club. Google that.
Man, I wonder if that lady would have paid you $100 to bone her later that evening.
Really, that's exactly what I was thinking.
What a shame. You lost $100 with her dying. Now,
and her friends too.
That's terrible. That's a terrible story. All right. So the prostitution didn't last very long. I had to get into that. The next topic was you meeting Lori Peaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she says after 2-3 months, she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
You do the right thing and you want to marry her before the baby's
marrying her anyway, whether she was pregnant or not.
I was gonna say, did the shotgun wedding happen because she was pregnant?
Well, no, it was technically the way they edited it, and they did the one story about me and Paul when he said he knows Macaulay Culkin. They edited. I never start that story out the way I heard it yesterday. So they take words of mine and plug them in to start that story, which I never start that story with whatsoever. So anyway, I didn't want it to be a shotgun wedding. I wanted to have Tyler born already before we got married. So it wasn't a shotgun wedding.
Okay.
I was like, hey, I want him to be born. I want him there with us. That was important to me for some reason.
Yeah, because everybody that I talk to that does Darkside, they say my words got twisted, they took things out of content, they edited it to where I said this but I didn't really say this.
Yeah, that's the job.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to know like what is completely accurate. So that's why.
Yeah, but I picked it up. I would pick it up easy. I'm like, I never started that story like that ever in my life. I never started that story like that ever in my life. I would talk for like 30, 45, 60 seconds, and then they would start the story from there. And their editing is so good, I guess, right now that you don't even pick it up, where they're taking me saying that is out of some other context and putting it in exactly where they want it,
Right.
Which is I guess everybody does it now. But
I mean, on one hand, it's genius, but on another hand, if they put it somewhere you don't want it to be, then you're screwed. And that's
well, then anybody that does an episode should say that I have final cut. You know what I mean?
That's why he's smart. The best line I ever heard you say was, "I was born as a gimmick."
Yeah,
that's the best thing I've ever heard you say in my life. That's the one thing I popped huge for out of the whole hour, because we all know I was a huge mark for the wetsuit, but it had to go after a while. It was just way too much. Who came up with that wetsuit? Was that you?
Well, I had to, because I started in June 1990. I had already worked with, in my first 3 months, by September, I worked with Ivan Koloff, I worked with Jimmy Snuka, I worked with Ron Shaw, and Don Morocco. So at that point, Jerry Lawler calls Joel Goodhart, because it was still Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, and says, I need a couple guys. But unbeknownst to me, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway, that USWA's less than a year of shutting down from right now. So Lawler's just searching for anybody cheap that wants to come down there, because they're paying like $25 a night or something. But he wanted to have a gimmick. So with the Sandman, it was Goodhart told me, he's like, listen, you're going to need a gimmick or something like that. So I thought of the wetsuit, and then the surfboard. I go to Gary Wolf's house, because back then, the Pitbulls literally ran the city of Philadelphia. They knew every bouncer in every club anywhere we went. So Gary's like, here, let's get your van. We'll go down to Delaware Avenue. It's 1:00 in the afternoon on like a Wednesday. He walks in, tells the bouncer, he says, go get that surfboard off the wall, because the place was Rock Lobster. It was like, like a beach gimmick. The guy goes, all right. He went and took the surfboard off there. And next thing you know, it's in my van, and I'm on my way to Memphis the next day.
So if Paul didn't say you were getting the surfboard broke over your head that night, would you have continued? Like, did it ever occur to you, I have to get rid of this gimmick?
Yeah, but you know what the funny thing is? Like Todd Gordon Budsby, he's like, heck, I was the one that was telling Paul that surfer gimmick needs to go. And he's pissed that I didn't give him credit on the show last night. I give all the credit, but it really goes to Todd, because Todd had so much more to do with the transformation into me just being me, and he saw that before I even saw that.
I love it. I wish I could have Todd and Paul just go head to head on there. That would be so great. So one of the stories that people might not know, and I said, I'm going to bring it up because you can say I don't want to talk about it, but I know you will. They touched base with you and Missy a little bit. Missy was your manager for a short time in ECW. Tell the story. I don't remember where we were. I want to say somewhere in New York, but I can't remember. The match was, I don't know if it was a tag or if it was just Lori against Missy.
Oh, and Lori shot on her?
Lori shot on her, and like, was that, okay, before you tell the story, was that when Missy came to the building and she had all the plastic surgery done? Do you remember when she couldn't?
Yeah, that was, I know that story exactly, because it was at Lulu Temple in Norristown, Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And she got her lips done, and the ring, and me and Missy, we were like, to like a ship's passing in the night, but it was like here for a little bit, and then very soon it was like, all right, we're going our own separate way. And then Paul pushed her on to Paul Varlins to get him to do a job for Taz, but that's a story for another time. My stories have stories right here. So Missy gets her lips done, and they were huge.
They were big because she just got them done.
Yeah, so the ring was late that night. So me just being me, I went outside to entertain the crowd. And I was telling everybody, when Missy comes out, I want you to go, ooh, look at her lips. Ooh, look at her. I was so mean. I don't even know what made me do that. But I was so mean that night, and she cried.
Oh,
and I think I apologized to her later.
Well, I don't like that.
Yeah, she cried, and then I felt bad.
Okay.
For like 60 seconds, maybe.
Then it passed.
Yeah.
Get back to the other story. So Lori is
so see, Lori knew something was going on. She's got women's intuition, you know what I'm saying? She was my 7-year itch, and she knew it. So when she got a chance to lace the shit out of her, she did.
So what? I mean, I didn't see that match, but I remember I was there and I was in the back, and I remember somebody going, "She broke her arm. She broke Missy's arm," and I'm like, what is happening? Like, what? And they're like, Lori's shooting on Missy. She broke her arm.
I forgot all about that part. Yeah, Missy was selling her arm.
What did she, like, what happened out there?
She just started whacking her with the cane, like, wham, 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 wham. Yeah, whacking her with the cane.
So, did you, after that, did you admit you were having an affair?
Nah, I don't remember.
Oh, my God.
But she knew it, and I knew she knew it. And she got me back.
Okay. All right. I just remember that story popped in my head, and I was like, I've never seen that match. I don't know how she broke her arm, but I know she shot on her. And the locker room was going ape shit, like saying, Lori's breaking Missy's arm. And I just never knew how, like, I thought maybe she just got her and cranked her and broke her arm. Like, I didn't know.
Put her in the shoot old.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. How long after that were you guys married for?
Oh, dude, we were married for way longer than we were together. We were probably technically married for like 15 years, but we were together like maybe a decade.
Okay.
Maybe even a little more. I don't know.
Okay, so they while we're talking about her, might as well get into it. So they got into the part where she starts saying, you're starting to take steroids because, you know, you're hardcore hack now, you're in WCW, blah, blah, blah. They changed you as a person. It wasn't everything else that you ever took in your life. It was
this was the icing that broke the camel's back right here. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, she was just, I was so horrible to her as a husband, you know what I mean? And the kids were always more important than her, and she knew that. And I always made sure any girl in my life knew that you will never be more important than that child. And that's exactly how I feel.
I agree with that statement, though, but I don't agree with the abuse. And like, I feel, okay, I'm just telling you as a woman, I feel like I know you, right? You're one of my best friends. I love you to death. If I didn't know you the way I know you now, I'd be like, I hate that guy.
Dude, I hated that guy once. Like right now, I hate that guy. You know what I'm saying? But I've hated that guy for a while. You know, but everything's in retrospect. It's when you're 30 years old, life is totally different than when you're 60 years old. Mm-hmm. The older you get, the more things come into focus. Hey, you might need reader's glasses like I got here somewhere to read the newspaper, but your insight gets way more sharpened the older that you get, and you start to realize how much that what I was doing, it was affecting so much more than my short-sighted hack. It was just like, how do I please myself for the day for a lot of that time? You know what I mean? And it's kind of natural, I would think, that anybody that when your career is rising like that you need to be like more focused on it, or or more in tune to it, or I'm making an excuse.
Well, I just on the outside.
Know.
Yeah, no.
Lose focus of what's real in life sometimes because you're so wrapped up in your career. All right, there. That's kind of summed it up for me.
What's important in life? Because back in the day, you're so fixated on how do I get myself over? How do I stay on top? This is all I know. Blah 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 blah. I was single when I worked there. I didn't have my family. You know what I mean? So it was just me. But now, like, I would die for my family, and I feel like that's you. You know, and I don't know that other person because I hung out with you at shows and stuff back in the day, but I never, like with Todd and Raven and all those guys, like going to the house and stuff. I didn't do that. Like I wasn't in that circle, so I didn't see that side of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to see that, it hurt my heart. But I know
it hurts my heart now.
I understand.
That I can be so blind. That I can be so blind and so selfish, and really it's selfish. It's straight selfishness.
You've changed. You've changed.
Well, because the older you get, hopefully the little wiser you get. You know what I mean? You start to realize how selfish you really were. And I could have had it both ways, but I didn't.
Okay.
Because I was a half-assed drug addict.
Right.
But I could have had it both ways because so many other guys could have it both ways. You know what I mean? But I screwed all that up.
Yeah, and I'm not
my fault.
I'm not beating a dead horse. It's over. I'm just saying the person that you are now, I don't see any traces of that guy whatsoever. Okay. And I like the person you are now. So I'm kind of putting you over, which I hate putting you over.
Yeah, I'm blushing, Kate.
I'm kind of putting you over for that.
The backhand.
Let's go to my little boyfriend, Tyler, who I always tell him you were so mean to me in the locker room because he was just a miserable little runt. But you told him to act like that, and I understand that. And now me and Ty have a great relationship. The one thing that I never got to ask him or ask you, he's 6-7 years old, so he's in kindergarten, first grade, something like that, right?
Yeah, but I held him back because I didn't put him into kindergarten until he was 6 years old because I wanted that one more year of maturity for him playing sports as a senior in high school.
Have the edge.
That's how because I wasn't 18 until I graduated. He was 18 the first day of school. So he was the oldest kid in the class.
All right. So regardless of how old he was, he's going to school. Are these kids like privy to? Are the parents? Does anybody know what's going on?
No, because
is Ty putting himself over and selling 8x10s at recess? Like, what's happening? Because that's what I would have did.
Well, we're on at 2:00 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And I'm living in Broomall or Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. It wasn't a wrestling fan kind of town. You know what I'm saying? So it took a while longer until I got a little bit more, until he and me got a little bit more famous.
Because I was going to say, like, little kids, they talk. And so here he is, he's on television. He's in the hottest angle that the company sees in a long time. And I
just see him explaining that to the other first graders.
Well, let me tell you something.
Dude, I'm in this great angle with this dude Raven.
I would not put it past him because look at the delivery in the promos that he gave. That little shit was right on the money. And like Scotty said, Scotty was like, I could flub my lines and forget to give him his cue. And he would just say his line like that.
And the last spot that they showed him, we're in a park in New York City, like it's 2, 3 a.m. And this is the same night we had Meanie naked on a and he had and he was doing blue dust, so we went and got we got blue icing from Acme. We put it all over him, and a cop happens to show up as Meanie's naked on this bridge, one of those wooden bridges,
with a 7-year-old kid.
2:00, 3:00 in the morning in a park in New York. Well, but there was a neighborhood around the park. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like Central Park or whatever. So there was houses within like 150 yards of us.
Yeah, but you see.
Yeah. And then we wake him up. He goes and stands on a rock. He's been awake for maybe a minute or two. It's drizzling out a little bit. We pull him over. We say, stand on his rock and say this when Raven gets done this. One take.
How much?
And he went right back in the car with the sleep.
What was his salary? Was it
any toy that he wanted? We went to back then. It was Kmart. So I would take him to Kmart every morning. That was like one of our deals.
Okay, so he wasn't on the payroll. He didn't ask Debbie for a drawing or anything.
Wrestlers. He had 8 million wrestlers, and we still have him in like big tubs. And is it the basement of this house? Yeah, probably.
How could you not make him get in line and say, "Debbie, where's my draw?" Rich.
That's funny.
I would have made him ask for a draw. All right, what else? The cross angle, the crucifixion angle. You still 100% have no regret.
No, zero. Absolutely zero.
That was the worst angle that has ever been portrayed in a wrestling company ever.
Well, okay. So who's right now, the Palestinians or the Israels? You know what I'm saying? It's a movie. You're watching a movie.
Like it.
My point is with the Palestinians and the Israels today, all this strife that's happening and all these I got to go a little bit of general public knowledge on you right here. You see what's happening everywhere, and it's all over. So I don't know how to. So what was your problem with it?
Couldn't you have just been the Sharks and the Jets? And like maybe
get a choreography. Ooh, cracko, jacko.
Just go down the hall like, yeah.
You're surprised I know that?
Jazz hands, come on.
And you're a jet. You're the jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day.
I'll be honest with you. I hated that angle. I was one of the people that went up to Paul and screamed in his face and said somebody needs to apologize. Now, I'm not saying I was the main person who got Scotty to go out there and apologize.
No,
I was right. I was livid. I just thought it was the most disrespectful thing I'd ever seen in the world, because even like for me, even if you don't believe, like so many people believe in religion and how holy and just sacred that is to certain people. And I to me, it was made a mockery of, and I just found it to be very poor taste. Okay,
now suppose you saw it on the Exorcist movie
back in
the day that happened. All right, but suppose it happened on a movie screen. Would that be any different than you? Would you leave the movie theater?
I wouldn't watch it. Because
would you close your eyes and not watch the blasphemous of it all?
What I believe in makes me tend to not watch that stuff, and that's just me. And I'm not preaching. I'm not saying I'm holier than thou, and I haven't made mistakes in my past. Blah blah blah. I'm just saying for what I believe in, as a Catholic, I guess it offended me, and I just didn't. I don't know.
I was supposed to.
Right.
It was supposed to offend people.
I get that.
That was the whole idea of it.
It was,
you know what? That was our Howard Stern. you know what I'm saying? The shock value of it. I knew that I was at least smart enough at that point in my career that the shock value is going to be great, and that's what you're looking for.
And you were 100% on the money with that. I will agree with you on that.
But I also understand your point of view. And it's a lot of there was crickets when that was happening. When they realized, if you look at the people in the background that are usually going crazy, they're all like,
I've never been in that arena where they didn't respond like with an overwhelming roar of applause or something. And I was right in front of the monitor, and I said, and I turned around with this disgusting face, and I just went, Paul. He just was like, and I said, you better send somebody out there to apologize right now. I said, that was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I let him have it, and he took it. He didn't argue with me. He didn't say two words. He just took it. And I sat back. Yeah, I know. I look, I'm just bringing it up because they brought it up on the show and I had to relive it again and I was hot. And I was like, oh, I hate this angle. I hated it. I'm sorry.
Hey, but that's the response that you want. Love it, hate it. It's a response.
About me. I know.
Yeah.
I know. All right. Well, I just wanted to see if you felt bad or not. I don't know.
Who is?
All right. What else?
What else you got?
Chad, do you have anything to mention? Because I got one.
Chad, you've been suspiciously quiet.
Well, I like to when you guys talk, I like to just listen because
that's smart. Let it breathe. Let us do it.
Exactly.
Like
but I just kind of like when they went to the WWE side and then it just kind of ended. So where else did they go with it after they started talking to you about the WWE side of your career? Like, what else did they cover with you?
When I got there, I knew in my head that it was a short-lived thing. It was I'm thinking in my head maybe a year and a half that's going to happen, and I have zero expectations when I'm going into that, except that the money's going to be great.
Same. Although, it's funny you said that because I remember being in a car with Al Snow very early to when we signed our contracts, because we all signed at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And I was riding with Al one weekend, and I said, I'm not going to last 6 months here. And I just had that gut feeling, and he's like, don't say that. And I go, I'm saying it. I'm calling it. I said, I signed for 3 years. I guarantee you 6 months. 6 months to the day was when I got released.
You really signed 36 1-month contracts. That's what that was.
I mean, it was. I knew from the get-go, but something told me like this is your last big run. This is your last opportunity. Yeah.
And you were with me. I remember her and Sabu driving around somewhere in northern Jersey with a Garmin. And the Garmin sent us to like 3 hotels that didn't even exist anymore. They were like vacant parking lots.
The Garmin was probably a 2-inch screen.
Yeah.
Super tiny. I was one of the first people to have one. Everybody.
She was so proud of it too. Oh my! She's like, "Oh look, we don't need a map anymore."
Because you remember, we would use MapQuest.
Dude, it was a pain in the ass, Pat. People guys today don't understand that. We would know the town, and when we were driving in, we would go to like a 7-Eleven and hope we would see a poster like they papered the town to know where the building was. And then we'd have to ask somebody. You couldn't make it to a building without making a couple wrong turns back in the day. It just didn't happen.
We'd have almanacs.
Oh, those ABC maps where you had to go to one page to the other, and everybody got screwed up when the town was at the top of this page, and then you had to turn, if you're still going north, you had to turn to page 36 and then put that up at the bottom.
So great.
Rand McNally?
Yeah, no, they used to call me Hack McNally because at one point, even before that, they had, what was that thing that they came out? The maps, road maps. MapQuest. And then when we were on the road, sometimes I would print them up for people and give them to people to get to the next town. So I was like Hack McNally. That's funny.
But what else did they cover though with you that didn't get put into the dark side?
I told you my whole growing up, my whole history from when I was 5 years old, watching it and talking to my old friend, and every time we went to the Spectrum every single solitary month for probably 5 years, from the time I was like 16 till 21. Yeah, until I went in jail when I was 21.
But even like I'm talking about from the post WWE side, it's like they hit WWE and then they were like, boom. Credits.
Yeah, they made it like your career ended.
That was it. It ended after WWE.
Well, yeah, because they got to wrap up the show.
But we want we wanted more of a postscript, though. Give me something.
Yeah, but I expect that. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to wrap it up. And they're getting their points across. And
that was 17 years ago. A lot's happened. Come on.
Yeah, we're still making towns. I mean, my God, put the guy over.
Well, yeah. At least who was it? Was it Raven or somebody said, well, at least he's still doing it 35 years later, which is a joke when you think about it, Franny, that we're still making money. People pay us to go have family reunions all over the country. That's the greatest thing ever. It really is.
We
And
work
none of us
hard.
would have thought that.
Look, we work really hard, and we give a
did.
lot of ourselves at these reunions.
Yeah.
That we do.
Yeah, we did.
We say it all the time. We're the luckiest people in the world. We
We
drive
are.
around with our best friends. We have a good time. We sign our name to paper, and that's it. And
Take a picture.
it's so great. I have one more question.
Have a fireball shot here or there.
I love it. All right. The last time you got arrested, according to the TV show, right?
Lou Albano's party, his 75th birthday.
It was okay.
Oh.
I said earlier, this.
They running the SWAT team for me.
Okay, I said there's no way this is a wrestling show. It looks like a banquet hall at a wedding reception.
Yeah, it was this Captain Lou's 75th birthday.
So okay, so you weren't performing or anything. You were
No, I was just there drinking 30 Long Island iced teas, me to fool myself.
Okay, see, they made
Literally 30.
It looked like you were at technically you were like supposed to be at a show working or something. But then when they showed you, I said, no way. I said, the way that the tables
I was standing on a banquet table with a microphone saying,
Right.
yeah, I'm drunk.
That's what I'm saying. I said, did they hire him for a bat mitzvah? Like, what's going on?
No, because Candy Albano was doing some of my bookings then, so that's how I ended up there. And I'm like, yeah, I want to be at Captain Lou's 75th birthday. So me, Gary the Pitbull, and Big Joe, that 6'9" biker we used to hang out with, went up.
And then what happened? What did you get in an argument over?
Nah, who knows? I was shit-faced.
They didn't.
But from the other stories from everybody, because I don't really remember much. So imagine a bar down in South Philly. That's an end unit on a street, a row house. So you know how they have the bars underneath? Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of, think about that. We're out back. He throws a bottle at me, hits me right here in the head, explodes. Then he runs into the back door. So I start running down the street, and I'm watching him through the windows, running through the bar. Now the Jimmy Vegas, well, no, not Jimmy Vegas, this other guy, Jimmy. He was in the kitchen at the time. He said I came in and started throwing glasses around, started getting crazy. And then he goes, I found the guy hiding behind the door. I opened up the door, and he was holding this like 18-inch salt and pepper shaker, you know, those oversized. Yeah. And then next thing, the SWAT team came in.
So wait, you went after him to beat him up?
Yeah, apparently. I mean, obviously.
After he threw the bottle at your head, you were still conscious?
Yeah. Oh, no, nobody could believe that. The thing exploded in a million pieces, too. Guys couldn't believe that I was chasing him. I was chasing him like 10 seconds afterwards.
Oh, God. So every story was said? There's not a good story that was left off the card?
All right. I got a story to tell you today that Dreamer reminded me of today.
Okay.
He goes, I don't know if you remember this, but we were at the, I have no idea this story. So I'm like, all right, what did I do? So we went to the Metallica concert in LA at the Coliseum, 100,000 people or whatever there was. And we're backstage, and he goes, as soon as they started playing the Sandman song, you ran right out on stage and put your arm up like that. Acted like the whole place was there to see me. I would have bet I would have bet my life that I was never on stage with Metallica.
That's hilarious.
How do I not remember that?
You were probably 30 Long Islands in.
I'd done to my head.
30 Long Islands in.
That was the Captain Lou's.
Could have been.
Who knows? Oh, Dreamer said, well, back then 7-Eleven and Wawa had these big buckets. They were big, like not plastic, paper cups that held like 45 ounces. So I would fill the whole thing up with vodka and then top it off a little bit with Mountain Dew or something like that. So here's the other part of the story. So we're outside of the Coliseum, and Dreamer goes, you see this cop, and he's got this CHIP thing on him, and he's a Chip cop. You walk right up to him, start talking to him, because this was brand new when Chip was there. And you know me, I'm in on current events and stuff like that.
Right.
He goes, next thing I know, you're handing your bucket of alcohol. I've been up for 3 days. Hand it to him. He lets me ride his motorcycle around the parking lot.
out.
Don't even remember it. Is that degree? A cop, I handed him my big bucket up for days.
You didn't
Well, he knew
that.
who I was, though. He knew I was the Sandman, so that helped a little bit. And
That's
to get me on the bus.
ride his motorcycle, dummy.
I know, but
Oh
hey, you
God,
just gotta be
that
me
story.
sometimes. I
See,
just
that-
walk into some stuff sometimes.
That story would have been aces to put on the Darkside episode.
I
That's
know,
hilarious.
I forgot it. That's why people are like, why don't you write a book? I'm like, I don't remember anything. I would have to give a chapter out to Franny, a chapter out to Dreamer, a chapter out to Samuel.
We'd all be
I would give the foreword to the book. That's it.
That's it.
I give the forward. Hey, this is how these people remember this
Dude,
crap.
I'm telling you, you have lived a charmed life. And Todd was right, and Lori was right. You should have been dead a long time ago.
Times.
But I'm so glad you're alive because
Multiple times I should easily die.
I'm so happy you're still with us because
So much.
yes, me too.
Spent the day with my grandkids. Got up at like 6:45 with my 2-year-old grandson. And then 2 hours later, the 4-year-old got up, took him out back to the pool and stuff.
I saw the pool video on
Oh yeah, that was Oliver shooting that with me and the
that
kids.
was so cute. Yeah, I love. See, this is what I love.
I love that time. There's nothing better than that time. I love getting up with them in the morning, and I am never ever up at that time unless I got to get on an airplane.
Right.
I'm not up at 6:45.
Oh, by the way, we're not flying on the private plane anymore. We're flying commercial.
Thank
And
God.
I'll talk to you about that later.
Thank God.
It changed. No, but we were in I don't know where we were, but it was I think it was last year, and it was me, you, and Shane. It was like 9:30 at night, and we had just got to the hotel. We had a show the next day or whatever. We're just chilling. And Hack goes, 20 years ago, we'd be sitting in the room doing coke or getting bombed or this and that. He goes, now we're talking about our kids, and we're just sitting down, and we don't have any alcohol here and no drugs. And he goes, and this is great. And I said, yeah, it's nice. It's different, and it's nice because we have matured.
Different phases of life.
Well, listen, I enjoy.
My problem is I got stuck at 15-year-old for like 40 years. That was my problem.
That's your
mentality. Every psychologist, every psychiatrist I've ever they were like, dude, you never matured over 15 years old. That's been your problem. That's why you get along so good with kids, because you never matured.
Yeah, well, I think you have, but I think there's certain instances where you still act like an idiot, and I can say that because
every day, like 18 times.
Well,
I walk around saying, "Hack, why did you do that? You're an idiot." I talk to myself all the time. I'm like, you're an idiot.
I enjoyed you back then, but I thoroughly enjoy you now.
Oh yeah. So we have a 10 times better relationship than we ever had before.
Do.
But we had Shane in between us then. He was the plug in the ass of progress.
He was a Debbie Downer sometimes.
I can't believe I just said that.
I'm going to tell him you said that.
My grandmother said that back in the day.
There was a time, and I was thinking about this today because you and I are really close, right? But there was a time when you and I wanted to kill each other, and I don't remember.
No, that was my fault.
I don't remember where the tension was, but I know the night that you came back where you think you got the loudest pop in the history of pop. He started an eruption and a tornado and a volcano.
Oh my God. The building registered on the Richter scale 6.8 that night.
Listen, that night we didn't talk, and I was in the ring with you, and you wouldn't put the beer, you wouldn't give me the beer. And you wouldn't hug me, and there were so many things, and it was super awkward. And if you watch, I just watched it the other day because somebody.
Oh, but am I kidding?
No, it's at the end. Me, you, and Tommy are in the ring, and you had just.
And me and Tommy are hugging.
You and Tommy are hugging, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, okay, I know there's heat. I don't know why there's heat. Is this MFer going to hug me because this is really awkward? And you didn't. And I said, well, then I'm not going to hug him. So Tommy hands me the beer, and I just start drinking it by myself because I'm like, well, I got to do something because I
probably thought you wouldn't drink the beer. But I didn't have heat with you.
No, we had heat.
We did over
We
what?
did. I don't remember. You were mad at me for something.
Oh, it's Shane's fault. I am 100% blaming Shane for that because he will be the common denominator.
Shane had left. I was.
I know
telling
that
you.
was the reason he left to put all the heat on you, and that's why I got mad at you.
I don't remember, but every time I watch that video, I get so mad because I'm like, man, how
Well, I'm
can
not
that?
watching anymore.
I know, but sometimes people put it on my timeline and it's there, and I'm just here by myself drinking a beer like a loser, and I'm just like, I can't remember for the life of me why we fought.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then
I'm sure it was my fault, though.
All right, I'll say it was your fault, but I
Okay.
just don't remember what it was. But it made me sad. I'm like, this could have been such a more fun night for me, and I was happy that you were back. And
So that's why. That's why it's not the biggest pop ever because I shunned you at the end of
I'm
it.
the biggest pop.
Wow! Now you're really showing your true colors, Franny. It's because I shunned you. That's why I wasn't the biggest pop.
Out of 10, I'd give you like a 7.8.
Oh wow!
If I could weigh in, I do have to take the headphones out when he comes out because it is so loud. So
It's very loud. It is a good pop, and he's jacked. And then the jackedness goes away after like 3 months.
Well, dude, I only worked out for 6 months ever in my entire life.
I know.
That's it. I did 6 months. I got jacked. Stopped working out.
Because you were in the land of the giants, and then you came back to the land of the pudgies, and you were right at home. It was great.
It was.
Anyway, I'm so glad we got you. I wanted to get you first, but stupid busted open beat me, but that's okay. What do you want to share with us? Where are you going to be? Do you even know your schedule?
Man,
you were coming up.
Look, I had to bring this card with me, Sandman Podcast, so I could plug my stuff here because I can't remember any of it.
They should have drew abs on you. You're looking a little pudgy in that drawing.
Well, no, see, that wouldn't be realistic, Francine. I wanted a realistic rendition of what my body actually looks like.
Use a filter.
Oh, dude, you should see me without pants on. It's even worse.
I haven't.
I got a flatter ass than Franny right now had back in the day.
My ass is good now.
Oh, now it's like God compared to the way it was back in the day.
I'm working out.
Oh, you can tell she works it out.
I'm working it out. All right, so we have the Sandman Podcast on.
All right, at YouTube at Sandman Podcast, Twitter at ECW Sandman. No, that was TikTok at ECW Sandman, and then X at Sandman Pod. Done reading.
Okay.
There's more of it.
So we have.
We'll figure it out.
We have nothing. May 31st, we have stuff. So
and Chris said something. Oh my God! This weekend it was horrifying.
I saw.
You know how Chris needs an assistant when he's setting everything up. He does it all himself. I flew into Cleveland. Then I had to drive 5 hours, 275 miles with the worst driver I've ever had in my entire life. It was like this. Break. It was so horrible. Then I go to the hotel. Nobody else is there. I don't know. It's late. I'm bumming. The next day, we have an autograph signing, and then I go in and cane somebody the first match, and then have to drive 275 miles to wherever the Hall of Fame is, the Football Hall of Fame, Dayton, Ohio. And then had to do an entrance there, and then I had to drive like 100 miles to Cleveland to take my flight the next
morning. Why on earth did he not just fly you into the first that you had to do?
He had too much. He did not. Dude, it's his fault, but it's not his fault. He bites off more than he can chew, and he just pushes. But he's a great guy, and I love him, so I don't care.
I love him too. But when I take bookings, I approve the flights before they.
He's the only one I don't.
No, I do with him too. I go.
He didn't get my flight till like 8 days before. That's how unorganized he was.
Oh, that's terrible. That's a long time in the car.
We love you, Chris, though.
We do love you.
Lose some weight, though, for your daughters. You got to stay alive. You're too fat right now, Chris. Just saying.
Look.
Everybody else calls him Moose. So if you
listen, we were with a promoter who had a daughter that was a little chunky. And
dude, if it comes across my mind, I just say it. I don't have a lot of filters.
He's like, this kid's really fat. She needs to go on a diet. I'm like,
Yeah, the girl was like 10 years old and like $1.80.
I said it's the promoter's daughter. Please shut your mouth. We didn't even get paid yet. Just be quiet. You're killing me.
The best.
Don't die on me. I need.
We didn't even. That's the first thing she goes. So she taps me on the shoulder. Shut up. We haven't been paid yet.
I'm like, really? Like, don't sabotage a little bit of a career that I have left. Please help me.
Shut up. We haven't been paid yet. That's so great.
We're going to be together May 31st. We're going to be in West Virginia for the weekend. We got 3 shots that weekend, bro. 3
Wait, is that the May 1st into the June 1st? I canceled that. I canceled it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Why? What?
Because I want to do something with Frankie Edgar in the MMA. Me and him met. I was on his podcast, and he's got a fight in New Jersey. He's going into the Hall of Fame, but his young boy is fighting Tyler, my son's friend from high school.
You're not coming with me that weekend?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's 3 shots.
It is?
Yes.
I know, but I wanted to. Well, all right, here's the deal. I want to do it for my social media because I could be backstage with the MMA. And he told me he's MMA.
You texted me the other day.
Oh, my God.
What did
I don't think I've ever seen you speechless, Francine.
I'm so mad at you right now. Where is it? You said, I missed you so bad these last 2 weekends. I need my travel companion. And
all right, I do. But why don't you just come to Frankie Edgar with us?
Because I got 3 shots and I'm getting paid huge money for. Oh, I am never talking to you again if you don't come with me. I worked on our flight.
On me now, honey.
I worked on our flights this past weekend to get us the best flight.
All right, can I give you a Paul Heyman answer right now?
Yeah, because that's a bullshit answer.
Hey, I'm sorry, my phone's ringing right now. Gotta go. Talk to you later.
Oh, I'm sad. No, don't make me fly to West Virginia alone. 2 shots are for Moose, and 1 shot is the Big Beckley show.
Yeah, I know, but here's the thing. When I mentioned it to Moose, he's like, I got no problem. I'm worried about that weekend for you also right now.
I got a problem.
I know you do.
With you. I'm telling you, we're breaking up if you
I'm going to put some shade on you for right now.
I'm so mad right now.
I'm throwing some shade her way. Don't they say that nowadays?
I'm really mad at you. All right, then goodbye. Get off my screen.
Peace.
You're not coming for real.
I don't know yet. I have to make a decision now.
It's 3 shots. It's a lot of money, and I'm there, and it'll be so fun.
All right, let me talk to Moose and see if it's still happening because
I just talked to him.
I know, but he acted like it was no problem me changing out of it.
No, there's a problem. There's a huge
I
problem.
know.
I'm going to call you.
I go now.
I'm calling you.
Sandman podcast, people. Read it.
Don't listen to his podcast unless he comes with me May 31st. All right. Love you. Bye.
Bye, honey.
See ya.
Peace, kid.